And I see a lot of highs in the chat. Hi. I'm not going to stay there too long because I have just a lot to go forward today. It's going to be a fire hose. All right. So I hear from a lot of small businesses like yours that want to grow within an agency of choice. They often find it really difficult to identify people or program offices that they can call so they can learn more about an agency. If you're like them, you're probably asking, where can I find information about an agency? I like to call it inside information, right? We call it inside the wire. Where can I find inside information about an agency so that I can dig deeper, learn more about an agency, and identify opportunities that my company can pursue, right? And maybe you're somebody who's asking yourself that question. In this lesson, I want to share the best source for inside information, that information about an agency. And then I also want to talk to you about how you can use that information to get in an agency door and to build the relationships that will lead to success, allow you to pursue those opportunities your company can win. Do me a favor, put show me the gold into the chat if you'd like to learn about how Industry Day slides can help your company, how they can help your sales efforts within the federal market. So show me the gold in the chat. In this training, I'm going to cover 3 main points. I'm going to answer 3 main questions. What are the agency industry days in general? What are agency industry days? The second question is, what can you learn about agency industry days? What can you learn about an agency from those industry day slides? And the third thing is, where can you find these industry day slides? So I'm going to cover those, plus also show you a few industry day slides that are just fantastic for learning more. So I see a lot of show me the gold, which is awesome. Thank you for your participation. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonnell. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, and I want to welcome you to my daily federal sales training, where I teach tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years as a small business owner in the federal market, and since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret, it's just a process. When you follow the process A to Z, you're going to have the success that you want. I like to call it repeatable, predictable success. That's what I want for you, and that's what I know that you probably want for yourself. Before we get started, probably a lot of you have done this already, but help buyers remember who you are. Put your company name into the chat. Put 2 or 3 keywords in there. If you put too much, I won't read it, but 2 or 3 words, I go, oh, that company, this thing. And then I can decide to follow up if it makes sense. So it really helps buyers and others in the community and me remember who you are. And I want to remember who you are, but more importantly, what your business does, so that if I can make an introduction, it's easy for me to do it. Finally, tag a friend, let them know about this training, right? If you're in the chat, especially on LinkedIn is where I want you to do this, just put the @ symbol before typing a person's name into the chat, and you should see the person's name come up in chat or comments on LinkedIn. So for example, if you did my name, you would do the @ symbol, and then without any spaces, you would just type Neil, N-E-I-L, space, and then McDonnell. And as you start typing that, LinkedIn will serve that name up. If you do that, you're going to invite one friend into our community, and they're going to thank you. But if everybody does it, and currently there's about 50 people on training here, which is great for a holiday. If everybody does that, if you do it, you're going to invite one person to the community, but you're going to meet 49 other people potentially who might come into the community. We want to build our community. I'll happy to facilitate this, but it's your community. Help build it. So tag somebody in there and let them know that we're doing this. And when I say doing this, we're moving to the next slide. And we're going to dive into the nuggets that you can find within Federal Agency Industry Day slides. So before I start sharing my screen, I just want to start with what are Industry Day slides. First thing is that Industry Days, just think about it from a high level, they can be tied to one particular opportunity that's coming out and the government wants to talk to industry about it and dive in, or they can be tied to the entire agency and the direction it's going. And somewhere in the middle, right? So sometimes when you have a big one, they call it the Advanced Planning Brief for Industry, APBI. So these are where they have a lot of information. I'm going to show you an example. And then others have little information, but really directed. So the first thing is they're tied to opportunities or the agency and sharing information. Agencies want to communicate with industry. They use industry days as a way to communicate. And there's 3 ways they communicate. First way is one way. They're just briefing industry saying, here's information for you. Now you have the information that we want you to have. Not a lot of dialogue in there, which leads to the second way. The second way that industry days can be run is where they're engaging with industry. There's a dialogue. They're asking questions. They want to know, what does industry think about the technical requirements, the direction we're going. They want to know about the acquisition approach. Are you okay with this NAICS code, this contract vehicle? So on this second type of industry days, it really is where government is trying to engage with industry in a discussion or a dialogue about future opportunities. And then the third way, kind of along the same theme here, is that industry days can be used by an agency for formal market research. And so they're documenting this activity that they're doing. They're trying to engage the interest of industry, and there's more formality behind it. I'm not trying to tell you everything about the textbook definition of industry days, but that's basically it, right? It's either one way, I'm briefing you, it's two way where there's this dialogue between us, or it's market research where it's more formal and they're really trying to track it. Maybe it's closer to the acquisition drop date or the RFP drop date. So that's just really quickly what are industry days. So let me share with you, I talked before about inside information. What you can learn about an agency using industry day slides is inside information. This information is coming from the inside, right? It's not like the stock market where you got inside information and you're doing something wrong. The government wants to share this information from the inside and they're sharing it out. That's what I mean by this. Nothing unethical, right? So there's 4 things that you can learn. And when I go forward and share my screen, I'm going to keep coming back to this. In fact, let me just share my screen right now. And I can let you see these bullets. I guess I could have done this a little sooner. Sorry. If this is your first time here, I rarely share my screen. You just get me all the time. But I'll share my screen right now. And let me just share the entire screen, which is always fun. Whoa. Get away from that. Okay. So what can you learn about an agency? And I'm going to show you this as we go through, but I just wanted to mention it. First thing you can get is agency information. You can learn about their priorities, their mission, their vision, learn about strategic goals they have, challenges they have. Sometimes they'll even talk about what do we want to learn from agency, or what holistically, what do we need from agency? And I'll show you a couple of examples on that. But it really is sometimes a slide will say what we want from industry. And it's not like a product. It's about the overall way you can help them. The second thing is organizational insight. What I mean by this is the organizational structure, not just an org chart, but beginning to look at how program offices fit together or product offices fit together in the program office, how PEO ships might fit in with NAVC. So beginning to get an understanding of that, you can learn through industry day briefs or industry day slides, the information about the organization. Also, along with that, you can learn about the people that are in there. And so I'll show you that, where you can find who reports to who, which is always great. Because if you're meeting with somebody, you might want to meet with their peers or their boss or their direct reports. And getting an understanding of the organization through these slides will help you plan out your sales activities. The third thing is opportunity awareness. You want to be able to go into an industry day slide deck and find opportunities that you can put into your pipeline if they're slam dunk opportunities. So that's something else you'll learn about from within a slide deck or an industry day if you go live. By the way, really quick before I get to the last one is when I talk about industry day slides, I'm usually talking about after the fact. Like a teeny portion the industry goes to an industry day event. Most of us are not available. In fact, somebody who's registered for my event right now just sent me a text and said, hey, I'm sorry, I can't be there live. I have to watch it later this afternoon. That happens all the time, right? And so there's way more people who watch it after the fact. That's why I like the slides, because I might not be able to attend the event, but I do want to get the information. And so number 4, though, is you can learn about your competition. We call them competimates. Sometimes you're competing against each other. Sometimes you're teaming. And so when I go into an industry day, first thing I want to do is just find company names and people so I can decide later whether I'm reaching out to team up with them, et cetera. So I want to walk you through some slides here. And let me come over, actually really quick, let me come over here and show you something. So I'm going to show you some industry day slides that I have on my own, on LinkedIn, on my own profile. And then I'm going to dive deep into 2 particular ones, one from the Army and one from the Department of Veterans Affairs. But I did just want to come in here. If you come to my LinkedIn profile, right here is this link that says free federal sales training. If you click on that, you'll be able to see the other training we do through the rest of this week. And we actually have next week's lined up as well. So you can take a look at that. But what I wanted to tell you is come to my profile. And if you scroll down past the featured section to the activity and click on the activity, when you come in here, click this documents button, and you'll be able to see industry day slide decks that I'm sharing. And so this morning I shared this one on the Marine Corps. I did another one on Army the past couple of days. Here's DLA. And these are cool because, by the way, if you come in and engage with some of my stuff, it's not just the deck. Come in and check out who's engaging with my content as well, because sometimes it's the government. It's the actual buyers, and I am not selling to them, right? I sell to you, and you sell to them. So here's some others you can see that we've done recently. Industry days. I'm on a roll with Army PEO EIS for a while. Here's a great one from the Air Force. It's on their business and enterprise systems. Fantastic information, and then more from the Army MIC. So these are two different contracting commands that had briefing slides. And so this one's 97 pages. Just imagine what's in there. Actually, you don't have to imagine. I'm going to show you in a second. And then down further that's 418th Contracting Support Brigade, I think it's what it stands for. And then here's 419th. So two totally different contracting shops and what they buy for the Army. So you want to be taking a look at them. So there's a lot of good stuff down there. Let me come back to this slide. So these guys, I want to show you two decks. I'm going to walk through them. One will be pretty fast, and one is just going to take up the rest of our time pretty much. But what I want you to see, and I recognize that I get super excited about this because I know how hard it is to find information. Tell you the truth, even when I ran my own company, I didn't understand the true value of all the industry decks that were out there. It wasn't until the last 5 years where I've been teaching everybody. I'm like, oh my God, I wish somebody would have told me about these gold mines. So here, when I come here, this particular slide deck, it's only 5 slides, but the first thing right out of the gate that I see is I find the main person, the product director for the Army Human Resource System. This is a system I might want to help because I'm in the HR side, or it's a system that I might want to help because I do state-of-the-art knowledge-based automation tools. Hunter, if you're on here, so there's a lot of good stuff. And if I come down, each slide really teaches me a lot. In 5 slides, I just learned the organization, who the person is, and he's under PEO EIS. Here, I'm learning about AHRS portfolio has 4 products. Maybe one of them's going away, but basically they have 4 products, these major products that they support that I might be able to support or you might be able to support going forward, right? A single database, or here they're integrating business processes across the Army. But I quickly can see what's going on in here with what products they have in this shop. The next thing is this third slide is telling me the 4 major prime contractors. So maybe there's not room for me as a prime contractor, but I have a relationship with GDIT. I'm going to go knock on their door and say, can I fit in there? I could help this way based on the knowledge I have about that product or that program. But I know who these people are, right? I've been working with DMI for, I don't know, it feels like 10 years with those guys. I would go reach in. But even if you don't know anybody, you know their names now, you can go find an SBLO and go in. So all of that I gained by the third slide, right? So I learned who's in charge, what are their major products, who are the primes, and then the last 2 slides are both opportunities. So this one's a sustainment support integration. I can see over here that there's software, there's IT, account management, it's typical stuff, cybersecurity. It's big enough that if you're on this call, you probably, many of you should be able to fit into this one. Clearly, PEO EIS is all technology, right? So this is, we're talking to your space, but look at this 8A set aside, right? This is planned to be an 8A set aside coming out in first quarter of 2024. I want to go get on that. So I need to go find out whether I'm going to prime it as an 8A, whether I team up with somebody, but capture begins now for this opportunity. And it looks to be a pretty decent sized one. As you do your capture activity, you will know the exact details, whether it's a recompete, whether it's new, how big is it estimated to be. But basically looking at what I see, it's not going to be small, that's for sure. And so in 5 slides, I learned that, which is phenomenal. Let me show you another one. And this one is, it's got to be one of my all-time favorites. 107 slides in here. Now, admittedly, some of the slides are how to silence your phone because it was a briefing deck. But I'm going to go through this really fast. I was trying to figure out, how do I share with you the importance of an industry day deck like this, right? Oh, and by the way, really quickly, this one's 5 slides. But the reason it's 5 slides is because PEO EIS had a huge industry day that had many of these portfolios being shared. And so I broke them all up into their individual portfolios because some people are cyber folks, some are HR, for example, and I'm sharing them out separately. With the VA, I just didn't do that. And so this one is similar to that first one, except for it's all the different programs put together. You'll see this, but I'm going to go through pretty fast. I want you to remember those 4 bullets. Let's look at those really quick. When you look at any industry day slide deck, you want to learn about the agency, learn about how it's organized and the people. You want to find opportunities and you want to find competitors. Let's look at this VA one and see what it's doing for us. Okay, so we're heading down administrative stuff. I'm going to go pretty fast, but the first thing I have is one name. There's Michelle Foster. She's the head of contracting activity, right? This is huge because at the very least, you should be following her and learning. Coming down agenda, here's organizational overview. That's the org chart. And it's just saying basically where is her office in relation to everything else, but who's in that office. So here's Michelle Foster, who's doing the briefing down here. And she's saying, by the way, I fit within this broader office. And now here are 7 people. Keep count as we go along. So here's 7 people that I can learn about or reach out to. Coming down, now the next thing, and at some point I'm going to give up counting, but coming down further, I'm looking at her, the head of contract activity for the TAC, the Technology Acquisition Center, where all big IT projects going through. And I can see these people with major responsibility. I don't know what those responsibilities are yet. Procurement, Service D, Service E, Service F, that means something. So what I'm going to do is go learn about that, right? If I'm newer to the VA, I need to understand that. But now I've got how it's organized and who these people are. It's people I can follow, go search on Google, et cetera, to learn more about. So now I'm going to go pretty fast through slides I don't care about, like money. This is just what they spent. What I want is this. So here's the TAC, right? Technology Acquisition Center, talking about their forecasted opportunities. So just really quick, we've done organization insight. Now we're coming up onto opportunity. A little bit of an agency overview, but not much yet. Here's just how much money they're spending. But what I want to do is come here. These are 4th quarter forecasted opportunities for 2022. Theoretically, they're awarded already. But what is cool is that inside of here are all these other people. And none of these people are the people who are up above. So I'm up to 20 or so people, right? Oh, my bad. And coming down, right? I've got this next group. These are all other people who are on there. And most of these people's names are not duplicated. And so when I'm looking in here, it says VHA customer point of contact. That's the Veteran Health Administration. So that's basically the program office point of contact is Kim. And Matthew is the contracting officer point of contact. I have their name and their email. I can find their phone number, put them into my task list of people I want to learn about, and then decide whether I'm going to do an intro call and then follow up about particular opportunities. I might look at this informatic maintenance one and say, well, I do informatics services. I'm going to reach out to this person, Jody and Deborah, and see if there's room for me to get in on a new contract, whether there's an introduction I can get to the people who run informatics, whatever it is. I have the information of people's names and numbers, and so it's perfect. Okay, so I'm coming down really fast. This one here, now going back and learning about an agency, one of the things that I would have lost a bet in a second. I would have said that T4 was used more than any other contract in this deck. If they had said, hey, what are the top contract vehicles? I would have put T4 at the top. Now, I don't sell to the VA. I haven't been in there in 5 years, but still, it's a huge vehicle for them. But it's not. By coming to this deck, I quickly realized, oh, I'm mistaken. I need to make sure I'm aligning myself to NASA SOUP prime contractors, right? Who is on that contract? So by coming in here, I'm able to see which contract vehicles I should be paying attention to. So that was a huge piece of information there. I'm going to come down in a second. Here it's talking about T4 and the update. That was that contract vehicle I just mentioned. And so here, this contract vehicle goes out to 2026. And I wanted to show you something else. Because I saw this in the deck and I'm seeing these company names, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. It'd be great. But wait, I've got more. If you go to this site, and it's, Gus, if you can drop it in, it's www.voa.va.gov, right? Somebody put that into the chat for me. Or everybody put it in the chat, voa.va.gov, right? Inside of here, one of the things I can do is come over here as an example and look at T4 Prime POC listings. When I click on it, it gives me that list of people who are in the slide, but I get a phone number and an email. and I can begin to align these people to that vehicle, and I can reach out and say, hey, I'd like to have an introduction call. Is there a place I can help you? This is how I think I can be valuable to you. So because I was in this slide deck, going through the slides, I'm able to learn that. I got a couple other slides I want to show. So I want to go a little bit more down on this, Joe. And just, this is still the TAC, the acquisition people talking about what they're doing. The next thing in this deck that I'm not going to be able to show you a lot of are these slides right here. This is the assistant CIO, or excuse me, it's the CIO, but it's the Office of Information Technology. There's like 10 other sections of 5 or 10 slides that are each these different groups. And I'm going to go through pretty fast, but what I meant when I said you can learn about an agency is you can come in and here I'm seeing OIT's challenges and their opportunities, right? They're out there. They're looking to mature DevSecOps model. How do you fit into that? I've got a company who plays solidly in, they bring the sec to the DevSecOps world and they fit strongly in there, right? And so the VA would be a great place for them to go and say, that's where I fit. But because I'm reading these slides, I'm learning about their strategy and vision, what this vision means for vendors, right? I'm not stopping on all these slides, but those 5 slides, let me just back up. I was able to learn about that organization a little bit more. And it's just more and more and more down below. One other thing I'll jump to really quick. Let me see if I can just do it. Coming down. Okay. So I'm just on any random slide, but what I wanted to show you is this deck is full of all these opportunities. Some of them are 40 and 50,000. Some of them are 100 to 200 million or more. So there's a lot of room for all of us to play. You want to come in here, look at these and decide which ones look good enough to pursue, right? And I'll talk in other training about that. But that's huge. Okay, and just really quickly, so that was competition and teammate, agency overview, organization insight, opportunity awareness. That's what you want to get out of a deck. And you want to go find these decks yourself, right? So out there, you have an agency you're trying to get into, find their industry day slides. And here's how you can find them. First way is like I just did with that VA site. That VA site has their industry day slides posted. So it's perfect. So just go to an agency website and type in industry day slides. Start there, do a regular search. The second bullet is SAM.gov. Most agencies try to post their industry days to SAM. So go into SAM and search for industry days, and you'll find not only upcoming industry days so that you don't miss them if you can attend them, but you'll also find that they post an update after the event happens saying, hey, here's the attendee list. Here's the slides we shared during the industry day. So you can find a lot of that on SAM.gov for the overall federal government. And then number 3, go talk to the small business professional within an agency and ask them to give you, can they help you get a copy of the industry day slides or to find out who's doing industry day briefings within their organization. I wrote here CR directory because on the GovCon Chamber of Commerce's website, govconchamber.com, on our website, you can find a directory with over 1,000 small business professionals listed for agencies all across the federal government. And in there is their name, their phone number, and their email. If you're struggling for your agency to find your small business person, just reach out there and download our directory. And the last one is Google. Just go into Google. If you're looking for industry day slides, what I like to put is industry day slides. And then I put in site, right? Ready for this? site:/.navy.mil, for example. And then I'm only going to be searching for industry day slides from that are on the Navy website. So you can do it many different ways, but that's a tip for how to search. Okay, so we went through a lot here on industry day slides. Let me just get back to my screens. We went through it. The biggest thing I want you to take away is that industry day slides can help you learn about an agency, their challenges and their opportunities, et cetera. They can help you identify people to meet so that you can go in and start having more meetings and building relationships that will last. Business development relationships, so you can learn more about many opportunities and about the agency in general, and then capture where you can learn specifically about one opportunity. So you have that. And then the last thing industry days are super vital for is that they introduce you to opportunities that maybe you haven't heard about, either because they're not somewhere else or because you haven't seen them anywhere else yet. And you see them here for the first time. It allows you to be able to see that you can pursue them going forward.